Hey guys, it's me Simo Orahara, and in this video guys we're gonna talk about a clash. Well, I wouldn't exactly call it a battle, but rather a tense encounter between the fake Yhwach, also known as Lloyd Royd, and Zaraki Kinpachi, and how Zaraki ended up being defeated by this fake Yhwach. Now we'll also take a closer look at Lloyd Royd himself, diving deep into his power and his role, alongside his brother during that first invasion. And everything guys I'll discuss in this video is based on a previous answer from Kubo, where he addressed some very important details related to that fight. Personally guys, I never got the chance to talk about Kubo's answer in detail. So I thought, why not revisit the events exactly as they happened, but this time through Kubo's own explanation. And first of all guys, let me share with you a funny little story about chapter 510, the chapter where the powers of the twin brothers, Lloyd and Royd, were revealed. I'm pretty sure guys what happened to me back then also happened to many BLEACH readers who were following the series at the time. I still remember those days clearly. New chapters used to drop every Wednesday, whether on Manga Panda, Manga Reader, and later on Manga Stream. And back then guys, everyone was still in shock from what Kubo had just done. Out of nowhere, no warning at all, Yamamoto releases his Bankai, Zankai no Tachi. This moment was huge. Seeing the old man's Bankai revealed so suddenly was absolutely insane, as we anticipated the outcome of Yhwach's battle against Yamamoto. But in chapter 509, Yamamoto unleashed his final blow, his final attack, Zankai no Tachi North, and so the battle was over. Yamamoto had won, the war had ended, or so Yamamoto thought. Because right after Yamamoto deactivated the Bankai, Yhwach spoke some strange words. "I'm sorry, I wasn't enough strong, forgive me Lord Yhwach." Those cryptic words left everyone on edge, eagerly waiting for the next chapter to understand what was going on. And finally, the day of the new chapter arrived. That iconic image from BLEACH's very first volume appeared, signaling that chapter 510 was out. I clicked on it with one thing in mind: Yamamoto's confused face reacting to Yhwach's words and Yhwach's torn, battered body. But then this unexpected page pops up. I'm sure everyone guys who opened the chapter that day thought for a few seconds that they had clicked on the wrong manga. I even closed the chapter thinking I was reading something else. It was only afterward that I realized that I was looking at what could be considered a flashback for Royd and Lloyd, where Kubo explained the powers of the two brothers. Because guys, what made these pages even stranger was Kubo's drawing style for the characters. It felt unusual, yet still carried his signature artistic touch that makes certain scenes unforgettable. The flashback lasted just 2 pages, and in them we can see that someone was speaking about the two brothers, possibly Yhwach, who may have known about the twins' powers since their birth. That's probably why at some point in their lives he gave them the letter Y, which enhanced the natural abilities they already possessed. And speaking guys about these pages, were completely removed from the anime. I believe they were only mentioned later in the character's profile information. I really wish we could have seen that flashback animated, just to know for sure who was speaking. But perhaps the scene was removed because it would have disrupted the pacing of the battle. However guys, the information in those pages was extremely valuable because in them we have the explanation of Royd and Lloyd's abilities. And also guys, these two Quincy played a massive role in making the first invasion plan succeed. According to that flashback, the twins shared a rare and unique ability, imitation. They could copy each other and later on other people as well. But I think at some time of their lives, once they received the Schrift, each became specialized in a specific type of imitation. Lloyd could copy the appearance, power and skills of a target, and he was among the 3 who initially fought Zaraki Kinpachi. And according to Zaraki himself, Lloyd was the strongest among them, because in the end guys, Zaraki was basically fighting himself. In the manga, Lloyd copied Zaraki's appearance, power and fighting skills, but only the level of power Zaraki had at the time, before Onohana later restored his full strength. Lloyd Royd, on the other hand, is where the real trick was hidden. Royd has one of the most important missions during the first invasion. As I mentioned before, The entire plot of that first invasion depended on him. Like his brother, Royd could also copy someone's appearance, but his specialty was copying their memories. And also, according to the official English translation, the mind. The kanji used here can mean mind, soul, spirit, or intention. And that's why Royd was chosen to copy Yhwach's appearance and also memories. So Yhwach needed a perfect imitation of himself, someone who could replicate his memories and mental state, so that Yamamoto wouldn't suspect anything from the fake Yhwach's behavior to take the role of Yhwach. Someone who could replicate his memories and mental state, so that Yamamoto wouldn't suspect anything from the fake Yhwach's behavior. But here where the problem arises, guys. At the time, and based on that translation, on that page, on that information delivered by Kubo, I thought that since Royd's role was to copy only the appearance, memories, and mind of his target, that means he fought using his own Quincy powers, not powers dependent on his script. That's how he was able to use Blood Vein to protect himself from the heat of Yamamoto's Bankai, and also when he used that powerful offensive and defensive technique against Yamamoto. So I saw this as Quincy techniques that any strong Quincy could potentially use. That's why I developed a lot of admiration for Royd. I thought to myself, finally we have a Quincy who can hold his own purely with Quincy abilities, without relying entirely on the special powers of his script. And so you could even say, guys, that Royd defeated Zaraki using his own powers. But in truth, that's not actually what happened. But later Kubo gave a clearer explanation than what was written on that page. He confirmed that the brothers each excel in one specific type of imitation. Lloyd could perfectly copy power, which is what he did when he fought Zaraki. This meant he fought with the exact level of power Zaraki had at the time. All Zaraki had to do was push beyond that power, and he would win. As for Royd, guys, he could perfectly copy memories, just like he did with Yhwach. He was perfectly embodied Yhwach's personality throughout the first invasion, even during the fight against Yamamoto. But here is, guys, the addition we didn't have before. Outside of their main specialty, each brother could still copy the other aspect, but only at around 70% to 80% accuracy. In other words, Lloyd, who could copy power at 100%, could also copy memories and the mind, but only about 70 to 80%, since it wasn't his main ability. Royd, who could copy memories and mind at 100%, could also copy power and skills, but again, only at about 70 to 80%. And here is the key point. Royd in this situation had copied Yhwach's memories and mind perfectly, but also copied Yhwach's power and skills at 70 to 80%. And this means that during his fight with Zaraki, Royd wasn't using his own Quincy powers. He was fighting with 80% of Yhwach's strength before awakening the Almighty. And that explains why Royd was able to defeat Zaraki so quickly and easily. Because quite simply, guys, he was fighting with Yhwach's power. Sure, it wasn't full power, but it was still close to the level of the real Yhwach without the Almighty. It also explains, guys, why the fake Yhwach appeared much weaker against Yamamoto's Bankai. And of course, I'm not saying Royd could have matched Yamamoto even if he copied Yhwach's full strength without the Almighty, but we probably could have seen a bit more resistance. On the other hand, guys, this also changes the perspective on which of the twins is actually stronger. I used to hope that Royd truly had his own Quincy power, but if their powers are entirely about imitation, then it seems Lloyd has the more dangerous ability, the power to copy strength at 100%. Just imagine if Lloyd had been the one to copy Yhwach's power and fight Yamamoto. I think we would have seen a very different fight. As I said, he still wouldn't have been able to match Yamamoto's Bankai, but he certainly wouldn't have been any weaker than Royd was. So guys, what do you think? Do you agree with Kubo's explanation? Let me know, guys, in the comments, and see you guys in my next video.